Millionaires R Made, the show where we believe you can grow and be a millionaire in all 6 aspects of health. That's right, we share tips every week to improve your physical health, your intellectual health, your spiritual health, financial health, social health, and this week's episode, your mental health. Woohoo! We're focusing on emotional security, how to keep your emotions in check and make sure that you're basically always happy. If you've never seen Millionaires Are Made, this is a show built on the fundamental belief that every person you meet knows something you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. In the spirit of authenticity, I don't talk to our guests about advice or tips or anything other than the actual show when we are backstage. So what you're going to hear is advice from people in their own life journey, from their own experiences about how to improve your mental health with emotional security. Sound exciting? Audience, this is a very, very engaging show. Please comment, ask questions. We answer them live on air, so we love when our audience gets involved. Feel free to ask them at any time throughout the show, and we'll try to get them live to our guests. If you want to be a guest on our show, we love it. We know that you got something to share. Everyone's got something to share. We're dropping a link right now. Please sign up, be a guest. We'd love to hear your little tidbit and piece of advice to share with the world so we can all grow. And if you're going through something a little tough, maybe your bank account's not where you want it, maybe your social circle's not that tight, maybe your mental health is a little weak, let us know. We would love new topic ideas for new episodes. You let us know. We will go find 3 awesome guests that will give you tiny pieces of advice to help you get through that hump in life. And finally, if you like what we do, sharing free knowledge so the world can grow, please do the old social media thing. Like, share, subscribe, send stars. I think that's all of it. Whatever it is, comment, heart, care sign, whatever it is, help us out. And if you love getting free knowledge, I do offer free growth sessions. So if you want to have a one-on-one with me, I spend pretty much my whole life learning from people smarter than me. And would love to talk to you about it and see if we can get something going. That link's being dropped right now. And without further ado, I would love to say thank you so much to our sponsors. This episode sponsored by Samir Dasani, who is a certified health and nutrition coach. Very crazy, awesome. Specializes in prevention and reversal of chronic diseases. So many people that think they're going to have it the rest of their life, and Samir takes care of that. Meeting and learning from Samir has been insanely insightful. I would definitely go check him out. Go check his website. At least go follow him on Facebook or Instagram. Right now he's getting his PhD in anthropology because nutrition and health wasn't enough for him, apparently. Super smart guy, and he has a lot of science-based facts on things that you may not have heard before. Second up, we got Craig Meriwether, who's amazing, super smart human behaviorist and a mentor. He specializes in entrepreneurs discovering their true identity. You know, a lot of people get in entrepreneurship for a side hustle, make their revenue stream, whatever it is, and it's hard to build an entire big business without that passion and identity and purpose. And Craig will help you achieve your growth in business as well as your life. Our next sponsor is Dr. Nick Sotelo, who is amazingly smart. He's a licensed professional, has his PhD, and he specializes in men managing their anger. So if you've ever gotten angry and smacked a beer can off a table, Nick's the guy you go talk to right now. Dr. Nick, he's awesome. StopAngerToday.com. And our last sponsor for this episode is Veronica Herrera, who is a life coach and host of Thrive, Don't Survive, which is an awesome podcast, and I will be on very soon, so go check it out. She empowers others with emotional regulation tools to transform challenges into thriving success. Veronica's amazing. And a huge shout out to some of our followers. Make sure you go follow us so you can get shouted out on our next episode. On Facebook, Maria Edese, you are awesome. Thank you so much. Instagram, Ruby, thanks for following. TikTok, Isabel Christina, and YouTube, Tore Me the Truth. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for following and sharing and subscribing. And it's time for us to bring out our first guest on how to improve your mental health with emotional security. Crazy. Here we go. Craig, who are you?
Hey, Austin. Craig Meriwether. I'm a hypnotherapist. And I know there's a lot of misconceptions around that word. We could do a whole 5-6 hours discussion about all that. But basically what I do is I help people tap into the power of their own subconscious mind. Dr. Irving Kirsch called hypnotherapy a non-deceptive placebo. So basically, we're using your own healing power to heal.
Well, that's fantastic. All
Yeah.
right. Well, maybe you'll have a little tip on this thing.
Yeah.
If I wanted to improve my mental health with emotional security, Craig, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Relentlessness. This is something that is ongoing, never ending, and constant.
That's true.
Just like your physical health, you would not just go to a personal trainer once and work out at the gym twice and think you're going to be in shape for the rest of your life. You have to do something every day. So, if we expect that from our physical health, why wouldn't we expect that from our mental health or emotional health?
I think that's such a freaking great point. And so all six aspects we focus on, I mean, my daily routine, every day I work on them and grow on them. Love that you pointed that out, especially after COVID and all this recent stuff. Everyone's like, my mental health sucks. My mental health sucks. And it's kind of like, well, has it always sucked? And you're just not realizing it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with all of them. I mean, your spiritual health, your social, you always constantly have to be making better friends and improving your friends, or getting friends that fit your line and your goals. And I love that you brought that up with mental health, because it's a daily challenge. Just like you do your push-ups every day and you eat your healthy every day, you got to make sure your mental health is there every day. Where in your life journey did you learn this information?
Probably just working through my own hurt and pain. I struggled a lot with depression and anxiety growing up, especially my teenage years, and it was really just working on myself, and finding those hills and valleys, and realizing, okay, it's not just going to a talk therapy session once or twice. It's not just exercising once so I can get those endorphins going, the serotonin going. It's something that needs to happen. Something needs to happen every day, even if it's just for 5 minutes. Got to find something to do. And it was just trial and error in my own life and just trying to be better, trying to feel better. That it came to me that, oh, this isn't going to end. This is just something you continuously work on. I'm not the same person I was when I was 19 or 29 or 39 or 49. And so, as the challenges of life, like you were just pointing out, just in the last few years, last few months, the challenges of life continue. So, we continually need to work out on yourself. Again, not only we expect that in our physical health, so why wouldn't we expect that in our emotional health or our mental health?
Super, super smart. Great knowledge drop, Craig.
Yeah.
Relentless pursuit of your mental health. I love it. I can't wait to see what you come up with for our daily challenge at the end of the episode. We will take this on. Let's move on to our next guest. Amy is in the house. Hey, Amy, who are you?
Hey, Austin. So I am a fluid artist and best selling author of a book series, and also a brand new biker babe.
A brand new what was that?
Biker babe. I ride motorcycles now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I've been seeing that.
Yeah. So basically, I create spiritual connections and visual meditations through the art that I create. I am also someone who uses inspiration to use loss as a positive and live your life fully, to chase your dreams and live a life of no regrets.
Loss as a positive. That's interesting. Very interesting. But I've got a more important question for you right now, Amy. We'll talk about that one later. If I wanted to improve my mental health with emotional security, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
That is learning to use your inner strength to choose an outlet to process your stress and anxiety instead of choosing an addiction.
Oh boy, let's dig into that. Tell us more about what you mean by that.
So 2020, of course, we know what happened that year. Extremely stressful, not really knowing how to deal with life during lockdown, and I found myself going down a path of becoming an alcoholic. which growing up with alcoholic parents, I always said that is something that I would never do because I saw the bad and the negative side of what that can do to someone. And so that was always something that I never wanted to travel. And so when I realized that I was on that path, I knew that I needed to choose something different to deal with all of the stress and anxiety that I was feeling. And so art became that outlet for me. And so I was able to use that instead of picking up a bottle after work.
And you said that was right around 2020, 2021?
Yes.
So that was about when we met, I think, right? Right around 2021-ish?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It
so
sure
I've
was.
been watching your change. Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You have. Yes.
All right, well, let's dig in a little more into your past. Where in your life journey did you learn this piece of advice?
It would be in the middle of COVID. And like I said, it's just making that awareness of that's the path that I was on. And I knew that's the path that I did not want to be on. And just made that conscious choice of saying, hey, I need to do something different. I need a better option to deal with that stress instead of choosing alcohol. And it also led for me to shine that light of choosing something different instead of a negativity or an addiction to process and deal with emotional upheaval at the time, because a lot of people during COVID, they were not well. And so I would do a lot of Facebook live streams just to give them something different, more uplifting, something more positive to see during that time, instead of all the negativity that was fueled in social media news feeds or the fear that was being pushed during that time. And so just being that inspiration of choosing something different.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. I mean, COVID was... Dang, I mean, I wasn't there for the Great Depression, but I'd say definitely one of the darkest times in the world of the past 100 years,
Exactly.
Yeah, it was a wild time, man. Just sit back, take 10 seconds and sit back and think about what the hell you were doing then. Between the conspiracy theorists versus the government. Whoo, that was a wild time. Wild time.
That's a whole conversation.
When all the stuff's coming out now and you're like, well, there was some truth to that. All right, Amy, thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next guest. We'll bring you back out in the round robin. Next up, we've got Reverend Joanne. Reverend Joanne, who are you?
I am a holistic personal trainer, holistic integrative teacher, Reiki master, medical astrologer, master numerology, card creator, and card reader. The founder of Holistic Fitness NY as well.
So you don't do much, huh?
Not much at all, just a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. Awesome. All right, well, I've got a super important question for you. If I wanted to improve my mental health with emotional security, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
The tiny piece of advice would be keep going, even if you don't want to, don't feel well, and you don't have it in you. Keep going.
Keep going, no matter what. Easier said than done, right?
Yes, because unfortunately, as humans, we fall into the mindset of giving in to the tiredness, the excuses, and the reasons for not wanting to keep going. So we do have to overcome those habits and beliefs by pushing through, being resilient, and knowing that the end result will be definitely worth the push and the steps that you take to get there.
I love it. That is awesome. Where on your life journey did you learn this advice?
Oh, wow. I think I was 12 when I realized what my soul's purpose was. And then I realized the mission I had ahead of me in regards to making sure I maintain a high level of mental health and resilience, so I can be a mirror and a reflection for others. Because I truly believe that in order for me to preach something, I must practice it. And I have to show up every single day for me in
Okay.
order to hold space and hold light for others so they too can show up for themselves. Because again, we're all here to show up for something. We all have a purpose. And that purpose is being able to show up and push through the mental health challenges that we're going to experience. It's not if we experience the mental health challenge, it's when we experience it and how we're going to show up through it. Because that mental challenge is a huge part of what I like to believe our spiritual journey of evolving and elevating to our next level.
I like that you brought up purpose. I think purpose and your vision and who you are is definitely important in your emotional security. When you have those people like chirping at you or whatever, it's easier to bounce them off if you know what you're here for and you're focused. But I mean, this is another conversation. But finding your purpose or your vision can oftentimes be one of the most difficult decisions of your life or journeys of your life, and it may be a forever journey for all of your life.
Yes, and I like that because when we think about finding our journey, we do not have to find our purpose. We have all been ordained with a purpose. What we do need to do is let go of the side hustles, let go of the 9 to 5s, and recognize that every one of us have been ordained. And if we trust the process that we have been ordained with a purpose, and we really call on our highest self to move into that purpose, we live in joy, we live in peace, and our mental health becomes a little more clarified in that process of living on purpose.
I love it. I love it. Well, Reverend Joanne, thank you so much. Let's bring everyone out and have a little discussion here. Audience, this is a great time to ask your questions. First off, we're going to say, Craig,
Yeah.
can you quickly refresh what your tip was?
My tip was just be relentless. This is something like just your physical health. You need to be working on all the time, your emotional health, your mental health, your spiritual health. It's constant as you change as a person, as you grow older. It's going to be challenges in life, just joys and happiness in life that are going to inform how you feel, how you think, what you believe. And so you constantly need to work on yourself. Of course, not only your body, but your mental health, your mindset, as well as your emotions.
All right. Amy, what are your thoughts on Craig's tip?
I definitely agree with him talking about relentlessness because that is exactly what you do need is just to dig in to what you have within you to make those conscious choices to be better and push through all the things that life throws at you.
Millions of things. Reverend Joanne, what are your thoughts on Craig's tip?
I love his tip, and I really want to zoom in on the physical aspects of his tip because I truly believe that the more we are in our physical body, the more we can be spiritually connected, which then brings everything into the whole process of the whole person, which aligns us more into our mental wellness.
I love it. Okay, well, let's move on to Amy. Amy, can you refresh what your tip was for us?
My tip was, of course, choosing inner strength to find an outlet other than picking up an addiction to deal with any stress and anxiety that comes. And that, of course, could be a creative outlet. It could be volunteering to do something to keep yourself busy. It could be wind therapy if you ride motorcycles. Just something other that is, it allows you not to fall into an addiction.
All right, Reverend Joanne, what are your thoughts on that tip?
I love the inner strengths, as I believe that everything is from within. And when we can learn how to quiet our mind down long enough to tap within, we can really quiet out all the noise that creates perhaps the addictions that many of us do fall into. So moving into that space of the inner strength allows us the whole connection between the mind, the body, our emotions, and especially emotions. Because again, wherever our emotions are, whatever's going on in our journey at the time, we have the choice to either fall into an addiction or move into our inner strength. And our inner strength will help define where we are in our journey. And it also helps us to show up at a much higher frequency and vibration. So I love the inner strength portion.
Craig, what are your thoughts on Amy's tip?
Really like it. I really, especially the creative part of it. I think we all spend 30 minutes just once a week being creative. That really helps lower cortisol levels and the adrenaline, the issues we may be dealing with. Of course, there may be deeper issues. But I like what she said, because there's this inherent mindfulness about just being aware of where you are, how you're feeling, and then what you need to do about it. But I love the creativity part of it. And of course, there's other things you can do, walking out in nature or going to the gym, or creating your own little film festival in your own home just for fun. But there's by focusing on the things you enjoy doing, that's going to bring joy into your life.
I love it. All right, we're taking a question from the audience here. Oh, we got some lining up. All right, open to anyone. What practices help you feel safe and grounded emotionally?
Is that for any of us to answer?
Whoever wants it.
All right, I'll jump into that one. My big practice is strength training, progressive overload. Helps me to embody my physical body and my spiritual mind, which then helps me to tap into literally going within, and also tap into my creative flow as well. So that is my go-to most days of the week.
All right, anyone else want to chime in? Craig or Amy?
Yeah, can you repeat the question? I was reading one of the comments on the side, and so I went over my.
You're a comment reader. I got it. All right. What practices help you feel safe and grounded emotionally?
For myself, I like the more spiritual practices in my life. That's what works for me. And I would have to say the physical stuff, whether it's going to the gym or hiking out in nature, just taking a walk around the block with my wife if we have time in the morning, and we set up our morning. Well, we can take a little half hour, 35-minute walk around the neighborhood. It's just, again, a way to, especially if you do it in the morning, it's a great way to set your day up. Not to say you don't maybe need to reset during the at lunch or in the afternoon, or before you walk back into your house after maybe a long day or a hard day. But if you can find whatever that thing is for you, I'm not here to tell anybody how 8 billion people in the world are all a little bit
You're
different.
Here to tell them exactly what to do.
In terms of the specific things you need to do for yourself, that's I think a little bit of the trial and error you got to go through. What makes you feel good, and what worked maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 25 years ago is not going to work now. So I guess that continual relentlessness. What's working now to, bring happiness and joy to your life, even if it's just a 20-minute walk around the neighborhood.
Agreed. I'll answer this one too. So today I've got a big meeting after this. Through a little nerves, a little shake on your self-confidence. I use an app called UtiliSelf, and so on it has you put in your own checklist. At least that's how I use it. They have way more to the app than I use, and obviously I use the tip of the iceberg. But one of my things I do every day is I go do my 3 things I'm grateful for, my most important task, and then I do a nice chant/hum, and usually I chant I am the golden goose is one of my favorite ones that I go to if I don't have anything else. But that takes about 30 seconds in the morning, maybe 45 seconds. And that sets you off. So that builds that confidence right up. You know your most important task. You're ready to go take it down. You start, that little self-affirmation type deal. And then you got your 3 gratitude to keep in your mind. I think that's killer for me. All right, we're going to move on to oh my God. We're going to move on to another question. Sheesh. All right, here we go. Dun 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 dun. Good point, Craig. What kind of support system do you feel is essential for emotional and mental well-being?
If you could surround yourself with a group of people that love you and support you, of course, that's a great way. I know that's not everybody's situation. Uh, an online group is fine, but it'd also be nice if there's a way to meet with a group. Probably the biggest growth I ever did was when I created a mastermind group of just two other people who were parents at my son's school, and we all realized we each wanted to change the world in our own way, and we started meeting up once a week just for about an hour, sometimes two if we had it, and just discuss where we were. So I know that's not the easiest thing to create out of thin air, but in terms of support, finding that community, finding those even one or two people that you can spend a little bit of time, maybe a couple of times a month, if not once a week, just to check in and see where you are. What I like about that system is there's an accountability there. Oftentimes, you'll do things for your friend, even if it's for yourself, that you wouldn't do on your own. And so if I say, hey, I'm going to have another 2 chapters written of my book by next week, I better have those 2 chapters written for my book next week. Otherwise, I'm going to have to explain to the group why I didn't get it done. Now, of course, there may be real reasons why that didn't happen, and those are acceptable. But again, sometimes you'll get going and the energy flowing for other people. You want that approval. You don't want to disappoint. So if possible, if any way, start cultivating those relationships.
All right, we're moving on to another question. Let's go here. How do you communicate your emotional needs to loved ones?
I'll dive into that one.
Yeah, there you go.
What's coming up for me is how I communicate my emotional needs is literally speaking it out and saying, I need a hug, or I'm jumping on the phone to say hi to you because I just want communication. I want to have that connection. So for me, it really is about that expressing what it is I actually need and allowing my voice to be heard. And if I have that opportunity where a person's here with me, then the physical touch of a hug or just a handshake or just that gentle shoulder rub.
Yeah, there's a certain vulnerability to asking for help, especially in that way. Especially, I don't Austin, you could probably talk about this too. Especially if you're a guy asking for that help when you're not feeling well.
I just had this discussion on my Facebook, and it went a bit wild.
Yeah.
Why don't people ask for help? That's like, man, we could do a whole nother show on that. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that might be a good topic. I mean, there's an inherent shame involved, especially a man, asking for emotional help, mental health help. But if you have surrounded yourself with a group of people who will support you in that, oftentimes it's just hey, I need an hour of your time. Can we talk tonight? Just being able to find somebody you can be that, and that may be going to a counselor, that may be going to a talk therapist. That's extraordinary. Having that person on your team who is not there to judge, but there to listen to you. If that may be the thing, you may need to hire somebody, a therapist who is trained in handling your vulnerability. I'd also recommend one of my favorite books in terms of relationships and communication is called Conscious Loving Ever After by Gay and Kathleen Hendricks. They have a whole line of conscious loving books. The reason I would like Conscious Loving Ever After is it's because it's for people 40 and older who have been in long-term relationships. So again, sometimes you end up in long-term relationships kind of maybe butting heads a little bit and getting into your boxes and your zones. And all their books are wonderful, but that one I think spoke to me the most because of their in-depth knowledge of their own long-term relationship and just their, at that point, how long they've been in the field of relationship counseling. So
All
I'd
right,
like to
we're gonna
add. I'd like to add to that, if you wouldn't mind, just a quick moment in regards to the emotional connection. As we are, if I'm not sure if you're all familiar in regards to astrology. We are in what's called the age of Aquarius, which is about collaborations and connection. And a big part of that is in regards to being vulnerable enough to ask for the support, because that vulnerability opens you up to be able to receive from all other areas of your life, not just based on the emotional concepts of things, but being able to receive abundance, reference to wealth and health. So it does spill out to a lot of other areas of our lives. So I think vulnerability for men and women needs to become a bigger process in what we're doing, so we can all expand in our generational wealth as we move forward.
I love
Hey,
it. All right,
Austin.
we're gonna let Amy answer this next one. We have two that are pretty similar. One of them says, "What is your go-to resource when you're struggling mentally?" From World Traveler, and then we've got Saba. What advice would you give someone struggling to find emotional stability?
Do you want me to take this one, Austin?
Yes.
Okay. So emotional stability can be difficult if you're not used to exploring, or if you've been in a bad situation. I would kind of chime in what Craig has said about finding a support system, leaning on trusted friends. If you're dealing with somebody that you trust to be able to talk through what is going on. And of course, finding a good therapist if it is very trauma based. That way, they can help you process the emotions that you're dealing with. Um, Faith for me has also been one that I lean on a lot. Not saying everybody has to do that. If that is something that they lean into, then by all means, I would definitely lean into the spiritual side. But definitely either trusted friends, family, a great therapist that can help you process, and leaning into your faith.
I love it. All right, we've got. Shoot, I lost it. Well, we've got some somewhere. Oh, here it is. All right, so from Mike, we've got just a personal question to Craig, but anyone can answer it. We have one or two more, and then we got to wrap this up. How do you communicate your emotional needs to loved ones?
yeah, I think again that's a difficult one. Just if you need to have that safe environment, you need to have a place where you can be vulnerable. And if that's not your situation, then that's something you have to create. If you don't feel safe around loved ones, whether they're your parents or siblings or cousins or your spouse or even your children, if that's not a safe environment for you to open up, uh, then you may need to look elsewhere. Maybe that's why groups, whether it's a church or just a hiking group or groups that go out to watch films or things, cultivating relationships, friendships, and finding those people. And I know that's easier said than done, especially as we get older. We tend to keep to ourselves maybe a little bit more. At least I do, and or at least our those of us who are introverts find ourselves, especially after 2020, kind of hanging out at home a little bit more. So when I was really having those relationships, it was really because of my son's school. And so I was seeing people all the time, drop offs and pickups and theater evenings of the kids doing a production or everything, or like, hey, let's all go hang out this weekend and do a hike together or do this homework project or whatever. And so they cultivate a lot of relationships. And once the kids got out of high school and went off in all sorts of directions, we kind of lost touch of that. And so it's been a little bit of a struggle for myself, even to come up with the people in my life who I can open up to like that. I have a friend I can call up and we can take a walk or just hang out over a cup of coffee, just chat. but it's not like it used to be. And like I say, there's a relentlessness to this. This is constantly finding, as friendships move along in life, relationships ebb and flow, finding those people who can be there for you. And again, I know it's easier said than done, but one of the things you got to do to grow your garden, it takes a little bit of work.
I love it. All right, we've got last question. My question is for Amy, as she is into a biker gang. How can we as a community better
Okay.
support one another in maintaining mental health?
Wow. Okay. So, communicating can always be a big one. Just because, and I think it touches on something that was stated earlier, as far as like weakness. We feel like when we're dealing with heavy emotional things, that sharing what we're going through is a sign of weakness, but actually it's a strength. Because when we share our story, when we seek help, when we talk to someone, that is a strength because you're sharing what you're dealing with. And most often, when you find someone and you're sharing that, they may be in a similar situation, but you may not know it. And so, what you share with them may in turn help them process what they're dealing with, but they've never felt safe or secure to share their own struggles. And so, when we do that, it does allow us to let other people know that they're not alone, but it also helps empower us to share our story more, because there are so many people out there who deal with emotional emotional scars and depression or anxiety and stress. And so I think it's just remembering that we're not alone in our struggles, and just offering to be there for someone else. And I'm not in a biker gang, but I do have several friends now, and I am in a couple different groups of people who ride bikes. And actually being in there, like I've come across and I've heard somebody that was struggling, and it's like just reaching out to that person. Hey, I see you, I hear you. If you need someone to sit and hold space with you to share whatever it is that you need to share, just know that I'm here, because I've been there before. I've been in the darkness, and thankfully I've never chosen that path, but it's the thoughts that are there, and knowing where you were and getting to a better place, and just wanting to make that positive impact in the lives of other people, to
Awesome.
put yourself out there and say, hey, I see you. You're not alone. I'm here if you need someone. And
Here if you need someone.
just being there for other people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amy. All right, guys, we are at the point in our show where we need to come up with a daily challenge. This is a challenge that we are going to use to improve our mental health with emotional stability. Now, there's some rules. It must take less than 5 minutes a day. It must cost $0, and it must be available to anyone in the world from Kamchatka down to South Africa. What thoughts do you guys have?
Okay, well, I
I'll
wanted
jump
to.
in.
Oh, go ahead, Reverend.
I'll jump in on this first. What I usually give to my clients as a challenge, and it's simply very easy to do. Write down, if you're familiar with your chakras, the colors of them, what they actually mean emotionally. Write down each one on a piece of paper, a single piece of paper. Crumple the paper up. Place each paper in a cup. Every single day, shake the cup up. Pull one of those papers out. Whatever word comes out, whether it's red, which would be the root chakra, which means grounding, you're going to focus in on that energy for the day. So it will help to elevate your mindset and will help you to shift your mental health for the day. And there's theoretically, based on general practice, there's 7 primary chakras. So you could possibly get a different chakra each day, or as I know from experience, you can end up getting one chakra and working on that one chakra every single day, which means that's the chakra that really needs some clearing to clear out any blocks or stagnations that's going on. Because again, as Amy said earlier, everything really starts from the internal part of us, so going within. And when we make that connection from our chakra system, it definitely does help to realign us physically, emotionally, mentally, and of course spiritually. So that's my challenge for everybody.
All right. Any other options you guys got that you want to add on?
Yeah, I have a really quick one to add into that. Everybody knows about writing the gratitude journal or your gratitude list. The reason why that's important is because the more you focus this part of the brain called the reticular activating system on gratitude, the more things you'll notice in your world to be grateful about. We're being inundated with something like 11 million bits of information per second, just through our 5 senses, what we see, hear, taste, touch, smell. We don't notice the temperature in the room unless it's too hot, too cold. So a lot of this stuff gets filtered out because we're only cognizant of 50 bits of information. That's why that thing when you're thinking about buying a new car and you're thinking about buying a Toyota Prius, now you see Toyota Priuses everywhere. You didn't notice them yesterday or the day before. So the thing with the gratitude journal is by spending like a minute just writing 2-3 things that you're grateful for, you access that reticular activating system and it's like, oh, okay, let's find out more things to be grateful for. What I like to add to it is 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things you like about yourself, and 3 things you do well. Because as you train your reticular activating system to look for more things that you like about yourself, your self-esteem is going to increase. And the more things you do well, as you write them down, your confidence increases. And so, and it could be just simple things. You tie your shoes. You know how to do that well. You know how to boil water to make spaghetti. Because it's not the actual thing. It's just that you know you do that well. So write it on a list. Takes 2 minutes.
All right, Amy, any thoughts to add to the challenge? We are.
Yeah, actually, there is, and Craig touched on it, actually, what I was going to share. But if I feel like very chaotic internally, and I will go and sit outside in nature just because it does help us ground ourselves. But it's kind of a meditation that I did. And basically you sit outside, you close your eyes, and you focus on what you hear. And it's not just the immediate things that you focus on. You mentally try to focus on like further things away or things that are not as easily noticeable. And I do pick like 3 and then open your eyes. What do you see? And pick 3 things. And you're looking for outside the normal. And then of course, listening, what do you hear? What do you feel? And it's just, okay, wind, I feel the wind, I feel the sunshine, the warmth of the sunshine, how it, feels on my skin, my clothes, how do my clothes feel on my body? So and that's also kind of like being present in the moment and just kind of calming that chaos internally.
All right, so we've got our daily challenge, right? 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things you like about yourself, 3 things you do well. Get outside to help monitor your emotion and write down a core value you want in your life. I wrote that down because you guys had talked about that, and it's good for emotional stability. Thank you guys so much for coming out. We're going to wrap this show up real quick. Everyone make sure to go follow our guests on Insta, Facebook, TikTok, wherever we have it posted. And thank you so much for watching. Today, we learned how to improve our mental health with emotional stability. We learned a lot about how it actually refers to your social health and your inner circle and your group and the community that you're supposed to rely on. And then building that community goes back to your mental health and having your gratitude, your self-awareness, knowing your chakras and trying to help with growing there. and your self-affirmations. So our daily challenge is going to be 3 things you're grateful for every day, 3 things you like about yourself every day, 3 things you do well, 1 core value you want in your life, and then going outside to get in touch with Mother Earth and then nature, and then using all of that to feel who you are, connect with others, get a nice support group so that when your mental health does